Alright, everybody, I'm back, and this time with a hat, and it's backwards, so you know that means I'm wild. And what I want to talk to you about is kind of a wild thought that I had not too long ago. I was cruising around just doing some chores and remembering, I believe it was a podcast I was listening to, and they got into the idea that a lot of people these days are trying to find meaning and purpose in their life through their vocation, through their job, and through their work. And it made me think back to when I was younger and I was working in my passion. My first passion was martial arts. I became a martial arts instructor at a pretty young age. I loved doing it, and in my small group under my instructor and with the local community that I was working with, I loved it. I wasn't making any money off of it. I was training and teaching basically to cover my tuition. And I was totally happy with that. And we went to tournaments, and I got to coach people to go fight in tournaments. And the level of reward and um, like real, I don't know, like it was just one of those moments that you really get to see your efforts embodied in somebody else, and like it's almost like the joy of teaching was greater than I had expected. But what happened was I got to about 18, I'm starting to get into the working world, and my instructor encouraged me to move on and take what I had learned and find out if there was another studio where I could, say, teach or even open up shop. He kind of gave me credence, once I got to the adequate rank to to go out and try to basically open up my own club, or like that's kind of how we ran it, like a martial arts club. I found a place. They were opening up a multi-sport gym where it was like Olympiad training and other stuff, and they wanted to do martial arts. Now, I guess we should have covered more of the details because I ended up in a position where my passion started to get eroded. Okay, I go into this business and I explain to them like our style, and we teach real self-defense, and this is essentially like military style martial arts. And they were like, "Oh, great! Can you show us a demonstration?" And of course, me and my buddy, we've done demos before. We like, do the whole thing, and they're like, "Wow!" But I guess that's really what they were interested in, the demonstration aspect of it. And they wanted kicking and tricking and flipping and all these sorts of stuff. So I started to take part in like their different parkour classes and doing all these different things that were great and very rewarding, but they weren't what I had just spent, a good half decade or more like training in. And so it started to kind of whittle away from my focus on my passion. And by the time that I got into it, and we were really training some students, um, yeah, I pushed myself beyond my boundary and I grew a lot as an individual, but I ended up pretty much no longer even doing what my passion was, which was like a very like serious, like focused, intentional self-defense art. Um, so that was the first time that I tried to get a job and mix money with my passion. And it just, of course, there's other people as well anytime you try to mix money. And that's why, boom, all of what my vision was and what I was trying to do was now, because of my youth and my lack of wisdom, a little bit more forfeit, right? Which is something we all need to be aware of. How naive are we? But I think about where we're at today as a society, right? And people, in large part, are atheist or non-religious or spiritual non-religious, right? Not a problem. I kind of fall into that category myself. I was formerly Christian, etc. Went my own way. Is there like a Christian version of MGTOW? Like Christians going their own way. Sounds like a dirty movie title. Uh, Everybody, stop. Hit the like button if you like what you've seen so far. Subscribe. Pay attention. Tune in. Think on your own. And let's get back to the video. But yeah, so there's a lot of people that are just spiritual, non-religious. They don't have a doctrine or a practice or like a set of virtues that they follow. And that's not to say that spiritual people don't have a moral compass or something like that, but they haven't put it into any sort of ritual, right? And there was a study a long time ago that basically said people who follow or prescribe to some sort of ritual throughout their course of life tend to live longer. It was just some random study, and I wish I had the quote for it. Sorry, there's a fly in here that it's just like it's after me. It's after this production. And so, what I think is that if, as a culture, we move to a place where we don't have a lot of ritual, we don't have a lot of places that we try to divine meaning from, and we have less places that like we are willing to give a ton of attention to, and like a kind of holy purpose to, we look for that naturally through something else because there is intangible aspects of the human mind that we require to feel satiated. Just like food, just like sleep, there are things in our mind and thoughts that compel us that we want answers to, and we want to wake up and feel like we have a greater purpose in life or that things are going somewhere. And I'm saying all this to get back to the point that when society as a whole is looking for purpose through their job, it limits how effective we are at both of those things. Working that job because we're seeking something that doesn't exist in it, and then also finding our purpose because we're muddying up the pursuit towards that goal that we could be on by trying to condense and collapse it into this workplace and this environment. And it makes sense. Now let's talk about psychology in general here for a second. If you go somewhere every single day and you experience the environment and the people and you do a task, you are fulfilling a duty, right? And your duty seems a lot like the greater word of purpose, right? And in a way, because you have agreed to do a job, your purpose while you are there is to fulfill your duty, to put the thing in a box on the belt, right? If on a very simple job, or to fix the vehicle and get it back out, right? That's your duty. That's now your purpose for 8 or more hours a day in many cases with the jobs that we choose. That is unhealthy, okay? Because what's happening is there's actually kind of, for lack of a better word, a perversion of the mind when this happens, because purpose is a very deep and meaningful thing. It's your purpose. It's what motivates you. It's an inner guttural sensation. When you know if your purpose is being affected, you would feel it to the core, right? If somebody's truck doesn't get out of the body shop on the same day, you're not going to go home and cry about it. You could, but in general, we're not that affected. And so when we conflate two different ideas, your duty, your job, what you're getting paid a salary to do, and mix it up with your purpose and the things that put you closer to your central values and feel a sense of levity in your life and you are fulfilled by, right? That conflation is terribly unhealthy. How do we get through that? Genuine question. How do we get through that? And the thing that we need to do is to stop. We have to fully cold turkey the idea that you are going to find purpose and a meaning in your life through your job. That is not real life. If we were still in natural communities, tribal communities, you would get a trade or a craft or a skill that you could provide then in trade and in kind to secure your shelter and your food and your water and your place among society. Now, this monetary thing no longer allows your duty, your job, the thing you provide, to really have that much of you in it, because your roles are predefined in a job. There's a space for you, and there's an allotment for your value that gets transferred into your bank account on a bi-weekly basis or what have you. So it's a limited environment, and you are looking for the ultra-conscious great being of ourselves in this, and that's never going to happen. Even if you are a business owner and you run a trade and you love to do it, there are other aspects of your life that will feed different parts of your spiritual self, your consciousness, your psychology will be affected. Your belief structure, essentially, will be affected through your life experience way more outside of a 9 to 5 job or a company job or a trade skill than in those roles. So, what does that mean for society at large with the way that we are? If you look at statistics of mental illness and a sense of isolation and the rates of people leaving religions and what have you, a whole lot of other reasons for that, but we're not going to get into that. People also need to stop, as just like they need to stop cold turkey looking for purpose in a job, they need to replace that. They need to put something. You don't just get to not do that. Then you're like a honeybee. You're just a drone going to do whatever you're doing, and there's nothing happening. You're not providing for the colony anymore, or yourself, your own internal colony. So now, let's move in the direction of finding that purpose, right? You have X amount of hours in between your job, which you need to keep, and you just can't quit it until you replace the income and what have you, right? It's a trap. Let's do another video on that. But you got your trap, and then you got your free time, your play time, your eating and doing other things time, and then you have sleep, right? You need your sleep, right? It's a trap. We'll get into that on another video. You have this gap, right? What are you going to do with that time? And a lot of people will rest and eat and all those necessary things, but then you have another gap, right? The actual free time, the Netflix, the Amazon, the shopping, the whatever else that you're doing for leisure could be spent in a pursuit of something fulfilling, in a pursuit of something exciting, in a pursuit of something that gets you moving and gets your juices flowing. That's where you're going to find not only your purpose, but also temptation and other things that now you need to be discerning about, and you need to test yourself, and you're going to test your strength and your weakness, and all of a sudden you're living life in the way that the spirit evolves, right? That's where you look for purpose in your free time. Like if you go camping and you love nature, look for a sense of calm or whatever it is, right? And really all these things are fleeting. All this idea of meaning and everything is an ebb and flow and a circular and a wave crashing and going back out into the ocean, etc., etc., etc. Meh, right? Regardless, you deserve it to yourself to detach your workplace from your sense of purpose and greater meaning in life. And I am guilty of it too. I still catch myself doing it. But at the very least, I've gotten to the point where now I'm able to articulate that. And I hope that this video puts you in a position to articulate that back to yourself in whatever way that is true. Because you deserve to live a life where you discover your true purpose and the thing that you find meaningful and the thing that sustains your soul and uplifts your spirit and all those things, whether you're religious, non-religious, atheist, like what, all those different things in between, and all the people that say they're religious but are really just doing it for family reasons. So guys, before we get any further, I want to say, please, if you're watching this video and it excited you, it gave you something, like and subscribe. Keep me clued in to what you like by putting something into the comments box so that I can respond. If you have a topic you want to be discussed, or you have a thought that you think is compelling that I could do a video on, please share that in the comments. Everything is appreciated. Ever loving. Please tune in regularly and be ever loving yourself, and we will see you on the next one.